Hello, everybody. I'd like to officially welcome you to Writing Like Shakespeare, Fast Idea Generation in Your Brain. Today, we're going to talk about helping you build a powerful creative knowledge base for all your writing projects. So we're going to start off very broad and then get very specific. My name is Shelley Haydock, and sitting right next to me is Matt Caton, our Director of Customer Solutions.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We've got an exciting webinar today. You're very lucky. You're going to be getting a sneak peek at some features of TheBrain 14.
Ooh, yes.
So some AI features that we're super, super excited about. So really looking forward to demoing these with you today and diving into all things creative writing. And writing can take on so many different aspects for different people, whether you're writing the next great American novel, or just trying to decide how to tweet out your company update or release, and you want something to pop or be a little zippier. We've got so many different tools to share with you today. So very, very exciting and very versatile that applies to all people writing, regardless of what you happen to be writing at the time.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, due to the volume of attendees, you're automatically muted. That being said, we absolutely want your feedback and questions, so utilize our Q&A panel. And we have a wide range of examples. Like we have script writers using TheBrain here in LA, marketing managers for corporate brochures and ad campaigns, and a lot of academics for research and scientists as well. So really writing, everyone does it. It applies to everything. So if there is a specific example you want to see, let us know and we'll be able to get to it. We're going to go ahead and get started. In terms of the session, we're going to start out very broad and then go narrow. So I'm going to start off with the creative context, kind of helping you understand how you can create that information environment that's going to let all your ideas really grow and connect. And then we're going to move into what I know a lot of you want to talk about, and that's how to use AI. And I should let you know, hello, I'm 13 and Matt's 14. What we've decided to do.
I get that. You'll get it in a second.
Yeah, what we mean is I'm saying our official current build. So I'm starting our presentation off with our current official release, TheBrain 13, but we are sliding into 14 with Matt, because a lot of the cool AI features that were on Vulkan, our server that some of you are using now, have been augmented and expanded in TheBrain 14 and in our desktop as well. So we're going to do that. So, but we can pivot, because I know some of our business users, we're sticking to our official release. No problem. I'm right here with you. I'm on 13. We've got 14. So this is actually our first webcast with 14. So lucky you. Thank you for joining us. You're very smart to have attended. And that's just a little bit of preamble. I'm going to go ahead and get started now. And here we go. So here is my writer's brain. This particular brain is all about writing. Now, you can have a specific brain about writing. I also have my Brain Technologies brain marketing section, which has everything in my brain from social media management to corporate brochures to scripts. Different versions. So your brain, it just depends where you feel all these ideas are going to grow. I would recommend, if you're an executive in sort of the business space, to keep your writing projects within your department brain so you can cross connect to other people's research. If you're more of an independent writer, or for instance, you're doing stuff at work, but you're writing a novel at home, then you can create more of a specific brain. So this is just to give you an idea. My writer's brain, we have a lot of academics. So in our teaching and learning brain, you can also nestle documents and you're writing in the topics that you're studying. So if you're studying philosophy and you want your writing to be influenced by maybe like existentialism, what you want to do is create that creative context for your work. So we have a lot of amazing writing tools that will literally write for you with our AI integration in 14 that we'll cover. But before you actually get to that document, it's very important that you have a place where you can store and look at ideas and really prime your own brain and mind to do that fast idea generation. So I might have just gotten home from work. Traffic was bad at the office. I've logged in. So really what I like to do, even like for this webinar today, is I like to open my brain, look at all my ideas and kind of get in that zone. So what your brain can do is really help you get into that zone for writing. So I'm going to go back to my writer's brain and just give you some ideas of some of the topics that you can have. So in this particular brain, piece of information in the brain, for those of you who are new, are called thoughts. And a thought can represent any type of digital information. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my writing projects. And in this particular brain, I've got all kinds of things from my company blog to my corporate brochures to journal articles that I may be researching. Now, each thought can have any number of documents attached to it. So you can have a group of PDFs, you can have YouTube videos, you can have Word documents. And I actually really love, and we can get a little bit more into this just depending on Q&A, attaching documents and doing version control in my particular brain. So in this particular thought, this is my the brochure I'm working on for next year. So I've got 2 versions, and I can actually launch any one of those versions just by clicking on the icon and launch version 1 or version 2. But each thought also has a very powerful notes feature, which Matt's going to cover. So here I can actually take notes on my version. So that's the nice thing about storing your documents in the brain, is you not only get that document, but you can write, version 2 is more about products. It's gone through legal review, but it's not as fun. So here I'm just making a note. So if I'm just sharing some marketing ideas, I might use version 1 for the team, but if I'm sending this out to a customer, I've got version 2. And this is especially great if you're sharing in a team setting, which you can do with our team brain. So your documents are kind of nestled in, and you can create that context for your information. And just a simple drag and drop will do. So all I have to do to get documents, I can drag and drop folders, files. I'm just going to drag this product research document and drop that into my brain. And what you can see is this particular research document is now in my brain. And now from there, I can make a note on what I want to do. I can work, I can save as back into this document. And I can also, most importantly, make connections. So maybe the product research is actually inspired by, I'm actually just going to type in Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell is, for those of you that are into script writing, is a theorist, and he actually wrote The Hero's Journey. So I have a whole section, and this is moving more into sort of the nonfiction aspect of this brain, of Joseph Campbell. And one of the things that's important as a writer, as any sort of creative person, is using your brain as a creative warehouse. So I have a section in this brain on, writers that I'm inspired by. I've seen architects do this for buildings. If you're a designer, this could even be a section on what your competitors are doing if you're in marketing. Or maybe you like the new Nike or Apple campaign. Link all that stuff here. And so I've got links to Franz Kafka. I've even got a section on heroines in my brain. This is getting into nonfiction. So I've got everyone from, Anne of Green Gables to like Wonder Woman. And I put some fun images in here just to kind of get my creative juices going. So that helps me, like, oh, okay, this is cool. I'm going to go ahead and work on, my novel, which is The Blue Rose. So in this particular thought, I've got links to my character development settings for this particular thing. You can see how all my thoughts are coming together for this one document. Now, I know a lot of you probably saying, what am I doing for AI? We're going to cover that, but I specifically want to cover a writer who's not using AI. So hello, I'm the traditional, maybe somewhat conventional corporate user who maybe for whatever reason, you're an academic researcher and you're going to use AI a little bit. But you're old school. So just to let you know, as exciting as the AI features are, and we're going to get to them in a second, even without the AI, this is, this is an amazing tool. So you can use as much or as little of this as you want to. So real quick, I'm just going to go back to Joseph Campbell and show you how you can actually map out different segments of a project or a theory. So a lot of creative writers know something called the hero's journey. So in this case, there's the call to adventure all the way to the sort of hero making his or her way through their challenges. So this is kind of a template that a lot of screenwriters use for writing stories. So what's cool about this is rather I have the note where I have the diagram of how the hero's journey looks. But in this case, you can actually take theory and make it a tangible reality and thought that you can interconnect in your brain. So in this case, I've got a link to Meeting Mentor, as this is a particularly key character in my story, The Blue Rose. There's a detective named Kelly Lawson. She's kind of like the old mentor. So I'm kind of looking to what Joseph Campbell has done and his theories to develop a new character in my story, The Blue Rose. And that kind of takes me back to the top of my brain in writing projects. So that's kind of just to give you an overview on, creating that space, a space that you're happy with, that makes your ideas flourish. Some great wallpaper you can see in this particular case, because I am focusing on some fiction. I've used sort of a stairway that's kind of, it's going up, but it's sort of dark and fun and creepy, stuff like that's going to help you. So that's kind of the stage to set up. What I want to do now is pass presenter to you, Matt. So you can talk about maybe creating some thoughts, both manually and then with AI. I don't know if there's anything else that anyone had or any questions. This is a public brain, by the way. I'm happy to share my writers' projects. This particular brain, it's just an example brain. So if you guys need that brain, feel free to let us know.
And I like what you said about, I'm going to go ahead and take screen sharing over now. And I like what you said, Shelley, about using AI, as much or as little as you might like. I've got a lot of different samples to share with you today. And so I'm not doing all of I'm going to save us some time, rather popping in and out of different brains. I have one brain open called Writer's Block. And this particular brain is just built for today's demo. And it contains thoughts that don't have notes yet, thoughts that have notes that are unfinished, thoughts that have notes with grammatical errors, all kinds of things, just a variety of different types of notes. And let's dive right into it. I want to share with you all of the different AI features that are available. And this is in the Brain 14. So full transparency, the Brain 14 is currently in beta. If you are interested in checking out the Brain 14 and some of the features I'm sharing with you today, you can go to www.thebrain.com/thebrain14. And that will get you to a download link where you can install 14 if you're interested, still in beta.
And just a caveat, anyone who purchases today or within the next 60
today on,
you will receive a free upgrade. So there's no point in I'm going to wait until 14 comes out or whatever. Go ahead, use the software now, use our official release, use the beta, what have you. And for anyone who has purchased, that will be part of their upgrade. And of course, if you're on the Brain services, that is a complimentary upgrade as well.
And I'm just making sure I'm sharing my screen. Yes. So great. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with a feature that if you follow the Brain, you're familiar with our progress that we've made recently with artificial intelligence. We've included AI in the web client. The web client allows you to, if you log into the web client, you create a brain, you sync your brain to the cloud, access it from the web client. You can create groupings of thoughts. You can create lists, and I'll share those with you. You can do those now in the Brain 14 desktop application as well. And so let's jump right in. The first thing I'm going to do is actually create a new grouping of thoughts. And here I've got a topic. Let's say I'm writing a story all about William Shakespeare. He's sort of central in all of my different demos I'll be sharing with you today. And I'm maybe going to write, I've got a new manuscript idea I'm writing about William Shakespeare, and I really want to dive into the Elizabethan era. I know nothing about the Elizabethan era. What can I do? I can go to Google and I can start searching and querying and collecting all of my data. I'm going to let AI jumpstart my research project here, and I'm simply going to go to the thought that I've created, Elizabethan era, and click on the AI button and ask AI to generate a thought structure. So not just a simple grouping of different topics, but subcategories and subcategories and so on. So it'll start really going into depth about all the different topics that I might not be thinking about. Maybe I'm just thinking about politics in the Elizabethan era. Here we've got classical elements. I mean, so much information. It's absolutely astounding, all of the info that I have. And what I really like to point out is that I've got these great buttons at the top to accept, redo, or discard. This is too much information. I need this a little bit structured a little bit better. I'm going to redo that. And I am going to generate a thought structure. I think I clicked on generate child thoughts. So just a grouping of child thoughts. I want this structured a little better. So I'm going to generate a thought structure and let AI do its thing once again. And that is a really, really great component, I think, because the brains that we create, it's your information, it's your organic brain digitized. And inviting AI into the party to start creating thoughts and content for you, is it really what you want? Do you want it? Is that information correct? Is it what you were expecting? So notice all the thoughts that were just created have sort of this little, we call them marching ants, sort of a halo around the thoughts. And that allows me to review. I didn't even think about food and drink. What were people eating in those times? Fashion and clothing. That's all some really, really great information for me to delve into. I like this. I'm going to accept that change. So just a wonderful way to review that content before you let AI solidify the data that you've entered. And as you've seen, I clicked on two different buttons there. Let me just click on it one more time. Let's say Elizabethan ruffs and farthingales. Don't even know what that is. So I can click on AI. And once again, I can generate just a thought structure or a grouping of child thoughts. And there's so much that can be manipulated in here as far as, do you want categories or do you want lists? If I were to go to Shakespeare's plays, do I want categories of plays, comedy, tragedy, history, or do I want a list, just name all the plays of Shakespeare? So AI can take those modifications for you. In this example, ruffs and farthingales, like I said, I don't know exactly what it is. Rather than creating a new thought structure, I'm going to come over here into the notes area, and I'm going to let AI create a note for me. So it's generating a new note all about Elizabethan ruffs and farthingales. And once again, I can say how big I want the word count to be, how creative I want it to be. I'll show you creativity, some fun with creativity we'll have in just a moment. But let's go ahead and generate this note. And as you can see, I'm not typing at all. I'm getting this great in-depth review of exactly what ruffs and farthingales were and why they were worn in the Elizabethan era. This is fantastic. It's exactly what I'm looking for, and it's just going to save me a lot of time. Once again, at the very top, I can either accept these changes, redo them, or completely discard and move on. So I'll accept those changes, and I can review back on this information at any time again in the future.
And of course, you can add or delete. So if he wants the first two paragraphs, you can keep them.
Of course.
It's so funny. We're so automated now. Of course, we have a lot of manual features. Like it's a full-on Word-esque notes editor.
Absolutely.
So once your content's in there, feel free to.
There, I've selected some content. I've deleted. I can continue on building and adding on to this this note. Additionally, you can summarize a note as well. Let's start really diving into all these different features that you may have noticed when I clicked on that AI button. I'm just going to navigate right back up to my Shakespeare thought. And over on the right, I've got a note all about the Globe Theater. This is a long note. I go into the history, the location, who built it, what happened there, and so forth. It goes on, and it sort of rambles a little bit. Well, I need to show this to my editor. This is where the story of my manuscript is going to be taking place. This is a lot of information to digest. that's all about this one particular building. So once again, I'm going to click on AI and simply select to summarize the note. And at the very bottom of this maybe 10 or 15 page document, I have a paragraph that summarizes this note, exactly what the Globe Theater is. It's a really, really great feature. And you can even, I've already a couple of times cut and paste, not entire books, but you can go to a Shakespearean play and just, summarize this play. Boom, you've got the information that
Not
you need.
just Shakespeare,
Right
it can
down.
be
Yes,
a big verbose company memo.
Absolutely. You're stepping into a meeting. You don't have time to read the whole thing.
So just think of this as an amazing summarizer.
Yeah.
Like it's going to save you a lot of time.
So, and that is, it's a huge, huge time saver, that particular feature. Another really great tool, and this one I've really found useful and had a lot of fun with, and actually it became sort of the basis of today's webinar, Write Like Shakespeare. I've got a thought. Oh, let's go ahead and accept these. The brain was warning, hey, you haven't accepted your changes yet, so I need to accept before I navigate off to another area of my brain. I have a thought that is simply, it's very dry. This is simply the, sort of textbook description of what a paragraph is, a group of sentences that, when put together, create a story or a paper. So very dry material on what a paragraph is. I'm going to use another feature. I'm going to rewrite this entire paragraph. So I click on AI, and I'm going to rewrite this note. Maybe I'm trying to energize my class, and rather than talking about, here's how a paragraph should be structured, let's share this information in iambic pentameter.
And this is how you literally write like Shakespeare, by the way.
If you follow us on myself or TheBrain on Twitter, I've tweeted out a couple of iambic pentameter tweets about today's webinar, and I didn't write those. It would have taken me a long time. So now I go from this really dry paragraph that's all about the definition of in grammar, what a paragraph is, to a wonderful, eloquent, rhyming, beautiful iambic pentameter description of a paragraph. That's just one example of
read it in the Shakespeare
I certainly, well, the Shakespeare paragraphs are the bricks of papers, dear friends. By length, some students define their essence true. For sentences, half a page, they contend, but unity of thought is what they do.
Nice.
So it's a lot of fun. It's a great way to sort of pep up something that you're about to tweet out, or a paragraph that you need a little bit of help with. And you can take this in many, many directions. And that's why I've got a few different examples of this feature that I want to share with you. This next one, okay, here's what a paragraph is. Maybe I am writing a patent on paragraphs. I want to have a patent on paragraphs. Kind of silly, but a patent application is very structured. All of your information has to be very, very well thought out, very detailed. You go in depth about every word that describes your product or your process, whatever you're patenting. So let's rewrite the definition of a paragraph in a patent application.
Oh, Jocelyn's saying that's actually a sonnet.
Oh, yes.
Jocelyn, just letting you know.
Yes, it was a sonnet, wasn't it? It was. I didn't count how many lines. Yes.
Jocelyn.
So, I'm going to redo this one. Patent application. Let's redo that one more time. So, and this is something that I do want to point out. You're not always going to get the same thing. And I'm actually not seeing the exact structure that I wanted here. AI is, you could feed AI if you've ever played around with any of the AI utilities that are out there online, you get different results. The same AI can give you different results. I'm just going to try this one more time. And let's see if it gives me what I am looking for, or nope, it's still going back into that structure. So that's fine. I could try it a few more times. I'm going to discard that and move on to my next example. But again, don't give up. And that's why those buttons are there. So you can discard that information, redo it. or rephrase. I could say, retype in the form of a patent application, and it might give me some different results. I'm just going to move on to the next option. I'm going to rewrite this note as a motivational speaker. And I actually made a couple of notes of, so here it's like, a motivational speaker presents the question to you. Are you struggling to understand what makes it a paragraph? And look, the one tiny paragraph goes on, and remember that you're going to need this information and so forth. So it's a really, really
you could say Tony Robbins
exactly in the style of
like Bill Gates. And this is my funny thing at the office. Like, I'll write our video tutorial scripts, brochures. I'll use kind of what I write, but then I'll put it in somebody else's voice. I even once did Super Bowl commercial. And
absolutely,
that was really funny. So, you may or may not use them, but sometimes there's a little snippet in there. That's
you get some different results.
AI.
Yeah.
So I think as we're doing this, have fun with the features, and remember, you don't have to think of it as an all or nothing. Even if you're playing with this stuff and you're not using it, but it's getting you in the zone to kind of like get your own ideas on papers. That's kind of how I use it as a writer. Or, obviously you can use whatever it generates as well.
So I'm not ready to give up. I tried legal patent application, but it still didn't give me the results that I wanted. I'll go ahead and accept that and move on. But I made a list of, you can say minimalistic, modern slang, casual. Maybe you've got a really, really intense presentation that you're giving and you want to make it sound a little lighter, a little casual, a little more fun. You can turn text into, formal, professional, casual, conversational, and so forth. So many different options for you there. It's a lot of fun to use and incredibly useful. The next example that I want to share is simply correcting spelling. So here under children's books, I actually have Chapter 1, the first few paragraphs of Harry Potter. And I've gone through and I've actually just changed around a few words, changed the sentence structure. If you read through this really quickly, everything might sound fine, but there are some pretty significant grammar issues in these two paragraphs. So once again, I'll simply click on AI. If you're writing, before you send something out, before you send that proposal to your client, that letter to your boss, whatever the case may be, you might want to just review and correct spelling and grammar within the note. So it's going to read through the notes and it's going to retype everything. But I've got one additional feature to share with you in this realm, and that is that we can actually review and compare apples to oranges. What got changed? There's the new paragraph. Once again, everything looks great. But if I say, all right, show me what was merged, it took out the word for years because it was a repeat. For years, Mrs. Dursley has pretended not to know for years. So it takes out and fixes your grammar, fixes spelling mistakes. The letter 3 is typed out as the word 3, place change to places, and so forth. So just a really, really great way to review your data, review your content, your notes, especially if they're going to be made public at some point. That feature of reviewing grammar is just a wonderful new addition.
AI version. Gary is asking about, can you customize your prompts if it doesn't give you what you want?
Absolutely.
So let's make it a little bit on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to get to anyway, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
On that.
And that was the redo. So I'll get to that one in another example. I'll just redo it and just rephrase how I ask the question or how I give the query. The next example I have for you is a note that once again, not written really well. It was just written sort of line of sight as it came to my head or as I found the content. Here we go. Elizabethan ruffs and collars. So got a lot of great information that's all about ruffs and collars that I found online, pieced together out of a couple of different websites here and there, found the information. Everything you need to know is all there. But let's go through and just organize this content. The paragraphs kind of jump around and some of the sentences are incredibly long. So once again, it's a little bit different than correcting spelling and grammar. You're just organizing the content and rewriting it in a way that flows nicely, and doesn't repeat itself and so forth. I chose sort of a big note here, but I want you to really see exactly how it takes its time to sort of review every sentence, the sentence structure, and so forth. That's not me typing. Yeah, I couldn't type that fast if I tried.
Yeah.
So I should have picked a shorter note for this one, because it really reviews all of the content. And once again, we've got the feature at the end. Again, we can redo and sort of modify, but we can also review and see exactly what was changed and let the brain know, or change our note, modify our note accordingly, exactly what we wanted to say. If it changed something that, no, I liked the old way better, the way I had phrased it, or, where that paragraph was located, I can certainly, keep my own changes and overwrite anything that AI has done.
And Victor was wondering,
so there it's
if you
done.
could review like just a portion of the note.
Absolutely.
Like,
Let's do that next. Yeah.
Just do a portion. I love this piece.
Yeah.
Good question, Victor.
Absolutely. And as you can see, this note was a bit of a mess.
Wow, what's going on there?
If you were to read it, it would have sounded nice, but AI knows a little bit better. It's like having AI is like having a really smart friend with no filter.
So?
No, because I wrote this.
This is okay. So
I wrote the note, and then AI is saying, rather than saying we're constructed using, just say it involved framework.
Okay, so one for the bot.
Yeah, exactly.
Humans will catch up in a second here.
So I can accept. I can once again redo or discard. In this case, for Victor, I'll say, all right, I'll discard, and I just want to select a paragraph. So with that paragraph selected, I can then organize that selection. So here's the refined text that it's adding for me of just the paragraph, not the entire note. If I want to review what was changed, I've got my original paragraph and then what it was rewritten as. So yes, all of these changes that you're doing to a note can happen to the entire note or to a portion of the note. Absolutely. And also AI can be used to, we've talked about all these long notes. They're too long. They need to be cleaned up. They need to be grammar checked and organized and so forth. Sometimes you don't have all the information you need. I've got another example. Let's go ahead and accept that. And I've got another example where I just sort of made, Halloween is right around the corner. Maybe I want to write a short story about Frankenstein's monster.
Nice.
I just have a couple of bullet points, what I know off the top of my head about Frankenstein's monster. So all I have at this point is bullet points. Let's see if AI can help me turn this into something special. I'm going to click on AI and I'm going to expand the note. So given this amount of information, AI can go in and actually create not necessarily a story, but a couple of paragraphs that just came from a list of bullet points that I have. Expand those bullet points and make it into something that's a little bit more palatable. So that's the organized note. And once again, you could have a bullet list of just hidden within a large expansive note, and you want to take it out of a bulleted list and get it into something a little easier to read through. That's a wonderful feature there. So we'll accept that change as well. And one I particularly like, and this is where writer's block comes into play. You're writing and you just hit the wall. You've got nothing else to say. I'm writing a little bit of information, sort of a background history about Ernest Hemingway. And if you read, you don't bother reading through the note, but look at the very end. Many of his works are considered, I can't think of what to say. Yes. Wonderful, great. They're considered to be amazing. I've got total writer's block. I need to get out of this. Earth-shattering. Yeah. Let's have AI just finish the note for me.
Suggestion.
So I'm gonna auto-complete the note, and it even finishes classics of American literature. I could not have thought of a better way. And then it continues on. If I want the rest, I can keep it. Great. There's obviously a lot to be said about Ernest Hemingway, so AI is really doing its thing here. But at least it finished that nice sentence for me that that I couldn't quite put a thumb on. So that is the autocomplete note, and you can see it's still going. There we go. In conclusion, so I have a nice little wrap up. So it's very incredibly thorough. I like that. Let's go ahead and accept those changes. And this is a particular favorite of mine. You know, you get a long email from a colleague, or an overview of a product or a manual or something of that nature, and you want to extract from that document, from that text, a checklist of what needs to be completed. So I've got a sort of another fun example for this one. Edgar Allan Poe, sort of one of my favorites. And there's a little bit of mystery surrounding the death of Edgar Allan Poe. What happened in the final days? I think there's even a couple of movies out there about it. So you can see this is a pretty detailed note. I've got graphics. I've got a lot of information. And whoops, I already created. I'm going to redo this. So let's delete that content. So let's say I'm writing a book where I really want to delve in and figure out what happened with Edgar Allan Poe in his final days. I've got a really great, all the facts and information that I know. Where shall I get started? What should I review first of all of this content? So I'm going to click on the AI button and extract action items from a note. It's just such an amazing feature. You can take any type of, like I said, an email from a colleague. Is there action items? Oh, medical research is perfect. Yeah.
Things like that. Getting more into kind of the business category. We're kind of going very creative in this session.
Yep.
This can be its own webinar spin up on AI for GTD, getting things done. So you can think about throwing in your own documents, closing a deal, this kind of thing, and use this particular action-oriented bullets.
Yep. And there I've got my checklist. And after I review a couple of different topics, I can simply, check that off the list. Or if I really want to delve deeper into the theories of people that knew him, or look at medical records and so forth, I can expand on that as well.
Repeat where that particular, the bulleted list is
sure.
in AI?
Sure. I'll click on accept. And so there's two AI buttons. This is good to point out. There's two AI buttons in version 14 desktop application. The AI button on the left is creating thoughts and thought structures. The AI button on the right is for your content area, for the notes. And when you click, you're going to have a list of everything that's possible. If there's no note there whatsoever, the only thing that you can do is generate a note. Everything else will be grayed out. The rest of these options are all for modifying existing notes in some capacity. And there's that option for extract action items from a note. And again, just to clarify, this is in TheBrain 14. So if you're looking in 13 saying, I don't see the button, if you joined late, we talked a little bit about this. This is in TheBrain 14, which is currently in beta. So you can go to www.thebrain.com/TheBrain14 and download the installer for TheBrain 14 beta and start playing around with these AI features.
And then moving away from AI, we had a few questions on how to integrate. If I don't trust exactly just the AI source, but I want to go out to the web, maybe we can also show how we do a search for Edgar Allan Poe on the web and just integrate web pages and citations from
absolutely,
Wikipedia, or a source that you absolutely love.
Absolutely. If I'm on a thought, for example, I use a keyboard shortcut for this. I always click on F4. So I create a thought in my brain. If I click on F4, this is a feature that's built into the brain. It's going to search the web for, in this case, I was hovering over famous American. Yes, I can go up to options. So now I won't hover over it. I'll go. So I'm on the active thought, Edgar Allan Poe. And I can click on options and web search. So I can do a web search.
It's old school, but some people, so you can do a web search. You don't have to use integrated chat. So for whatever reason, you just want to launch a good old fashioned web search. We've got that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And drag and drop, maybe just drag and drop a few items from the web, because there was an earlier question about adding just web pages from other sources.
Sure. So I went ahead and clicked on the search results, and here's all the information that I have about Edgar Allan Poe. And when I find something I like, The Fall of the House of Usher.
From
There we go.
Interesting. And see, this is the cool thing about the brain, because it's that all-encompassing tool. We have been focusing a lot on the AI features and notes, but keep in mind, that's just one of your many data sources. You're still going to go out to CNN or MedPubs or Vanity Fair, and the way you get that stuff in is through drag and drop and your brain box.
So here I've got a great article I want to read later. I can simply click and drag right into the brain, creates a new thought, and the thought name is typically what appears in the tab of your browser. You can drag and drop from all the different, juggernauts of web browsers. I like to use Chrome. You can drag and drop from Safari, Firefox, and so on. And then, of course, that is going to load up right there in the brain's content area. So
and the great thing
continue.
about that is you can connect it to something else or also read it later. This is a very long article. So great ideas hit us at many different times, getting back to kind of the first part of the webinar on idea incubation. You may not have time to read this, but you know what? You're going to forget where it was or what publication. So just drag and drop the ideas into your brain or use BrainBox, and then they're there. So when I'm thinking about Edgar Allan Poe, I can come back to this cool article, in Vanity Fair.
And I do have one last, I've got a couple more AI features to share with you. The last one is the translate feature. Now, translate, typically we're not translating an entire document into Portuguese or French or what have you. From time to time,
I could be shown in French.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got language selection options, and this is just one of them. I'm going to navigate over to, I've got, let's say, a script that I'm writing. Here we go. That is not it. There it is. So let's say this is a script I'm writing, sort of an adaptation of The Two Gentlemen of Verona. And as you can see in one line down below, I want Valentine to deliver this line in Italian. So they're traveling to Italy. I want to deliver this line in Italian. So it's just this one section of my notes that I want to translate. So I'm going to click on AI and translate selection. And I'll simply type Italian and get that line translated. And I can, once again, still look at the old versus new, the merged, and so forth. If I'd like to review that, I can redo that. And we actually have 72 different languages. I don't have the full list in front of me, but
as Chase mentioned to Denise, you can select the language via the language drop-down menu in the AI dialog box. So
absolutely.
For whatever reason, obviously, we're multilingual. Obviously, we're focusing on English today, but if you want to get your answers in your native language, you can absolutely do that.
Absolutely. So I think even if you're creating thoughts, you can see there's the full list of 72 different languages. So you want to create a grouping of thoughts underneath a particular thought or a new note in a specific language, that drop-down box will appear for you. So you can select your language. And then the final thing that I wanted to share with you, we've talked about generating notes for a project that you're working on, and modifying existing notes with all these great filters and features. But this example, I thought, just kind of shows you the real power of AI. I am going to go back to my children's book area, and I've got just a thought called Aardvark and Armadillo. I want AI to write a full children's book for me about an aardvark and an armadillo on a tandem bicycle.
That sounds fun.
Completely random, and I want to read it. I want to read it to my kids. I'm going to generate a note, and I just paste in exactly what I want the note to have. There again, I could select the language that I want my note to be in, and I'll generate this note. Once upon a time in a cozy little forest, an unlikely friendship blossomed. It's fantastic. And I'm sure at some point they get on, AI names the two characters, Arthur and Amelia, and they stumble across an old rusty tandem bicycle and go on some amazing adventures. This obviously is, this story doesn't exist. It's not out there. This is, what do they call it? An apparition of AI, but it can really create some imaginative content for you when you're facing that writer's block. When you don't know what direction to turn, you can create a note, and try a few different examples. What if your aardvark bumped into a tortoise along the way? What if, X and Z or A and B, who wins the race, and so forth? Yeah. Absolutely. You can have a lot of fun with it. And it's just a really great way to enhance your content, but also use AI as a tool for cleaning up your content and focusing your content in the direction that you want it to go. So hopefully you've seen a couple of different examples here. We're going to transition now into the QA portion.
We've got a lot of questions.
Great. But hopefully you've seen some great examples and you are intrigued to go to www.thebrain.com/TheBrain14, where you can find an installer for the Brain 14 that contains these great AI features. And there's more to the Brain 14 than just AI. Those are just the features we're covering today. This isn't a 14 release party or anything like that. It's still in beta. But the AI is what we were focused on today.
Focusing on anything that's going to help you write.
Yeah.
So we're going to move into the Q&A portion now. I'm going to cover some questions that I told attendees earlier we'd get to, and feel free to type in your questions. We are going to do this for about 15 minutes. And for those of you who can stay, we may continue a little over the hour, but we will have the recording available. So earlier on in the session, Gary actually asked, can you cover how a team would use the brain to work on a writing project?
Absolutely. The great thing about the Brain is that there are many different license types available. We have a free license available. We've got the Pro license, where just a standalone single desktop Pro combo, you're syncing to the cloud, all the way up to Team Brain. And Team Brain allows you to interact in the same Brain database with multiple individuals. So Shelly, if Shelly and I wanted to collaborate with her writer's brain.
Can I just tell you what the next question is? The next question from actually this attendee didn't give their name, is a way to copy brain for another. So if you want to grab my writer's brain and copy some of my Mary Shelley stuff into Frankenstein.
Absolutely.
We're actually shared in this brain. But yes, this is a collaborative brain. Matt has access.
So you can see I've got this brain open right now. We're still on my machine, by the way. You can see there's a little picture of me here in the corner. So I'm running the brain right now. This is clearly Shelly's writing brain. There's a couple of features. We won't spend too much time here, but really quickly, I just want to share with you. If I look at the thought history, so just click on the little history icon, you can see I changed a note at one point. That was all the way back in 2020. Shelly originally created the home thought for this brain back in 2017. So each thought has a memory and has a history. So you know who made a modification, when that change took place. Shelly added some information to this brain just today. I'm going to see if, there's some remote changes that I need to download. So I'm going to sync those changes. Everything that Shelly added while she was demoing today are now part of this brain. And if I want to review, what did I miss since I was last in this brain? What changes have happened in the past week? I can click on the little clock icon, and there's Shelly. She only edited 3 different thoughts today, but I have access to all those different thoughts
and all the documents
and all the documents. Yeah.
Remote, so those documents have synced across our secure cloud to Matt's machine. So just in terms of file sharing, making connections, going in the notes and making comments. And then if you just want to go to the online menu, Matt, to really just kind of show where the magic happens in brain access and sharing, you can see here, this is kind of the user. So myself and I guess Harlan and Matt are administrators. We've got a couple writers. We can add, anyone on our team, if I wanted to add Juan or Brigitte as a reader. And in fact, this brain is also publicly accessible. So you can access this as a reader. And then that might segment into, let's say you want to download, we have this brain available as a brain zip for download. Somebody has asked about copying and pasting between brains. So let's say you want to copy some of these thoughts into your own brain. We can show you, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who asked the question on copy and paste, but yes, you can copy and paste thoughts from one brain to another. And
Absolutely.
we'll cover that.
Absolutely. And so here I'm just doing a quick search for Mary Shelley. I knew she was in this brain. There's the Mary Shelley thought. Not being displayed right now. Oh, no, there it is down at the bottom. This question came up and I said, I'm not sure if we're going to have time to show this today.
Oh,
a little insight into a feature of the Brain 14. I'm searching through multiple brains. So I can see Mary Shelley is being mentioned in a brain called the cranium. 14, right? Like Shakespeare. So I can find wherever.
Oh, too. We can go into my inspirations and grab anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know what I added or.
So I'm going to go to this thought, and here's a thought. Oh, and I've got a really nice structure that's all about Shakespeare and how Shakespeare influenced Terminator.
Yes.
That's very insightful. So I am going to.
That's my own inference of connection. There's no.
I think that's pretty accurate. But if I wanted to,
all our new chatbots.
That's true.
We're talking about Chat and Frankenstein. Is there a connection there?
There might be.
Okay.
It's not there yet, but we're getting there.
Not there yet.
So if I right click on Mary Shelley, in Shelley's brain, you can see I have an option to just copy this thought. Great. I can copy the Mary Shelley thought. I'll do that first. Then I'm jumping over to my writer's brain, and under Halloween, for Frankenstein's monster, I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste. That makes it a child thought. I want it to be a parent thought. I'm going to click and drag it right above. So that's a new parent thought. So I've copied a thought from one brain to another. One question that came in that I answered while Shelley was demoing was, can you just simply link? If I want to link under Frankenstein's monster over to Shelley's brain, so I can jump back and forth between the two. Once again, when I right click on a thought, rather than just copying the thought, I can copy the local thought URL, or if this brain has been synced to the web thought URL. Web thought URL is really great for synced brains, because even here at the brain, it's like, hey, is that paperwork done? Do you have that information? Yes, it's in this brain. Here's the link. You go right to the thought. And some of these brains that we're sharing and collaborating in and looking at have tens of thousands of thoughts in them. We've got some very large brain databases. Rather than saying, yes, it's in this brain, navigate from here down to here, down to here, down to here, you can send someone just directly to a specific thought. In this case, I'm staying local. So I'm going to copy the local thought URL from Shelley's writer's brain, jump over to my writer's block brain, and under Frankenstein monster, I'll paste this. It calls it a web link. But when I click and launch here, I'll even close this. It is going to follow the predefined set of rules of the brain. When you launch an attachment, it launches in its native application. If this were Word, I could launch a Word document, Excel spreadsheet, what have you. In this case, it's a brain. So I click, and it's going to launch a brain, and it's going to take me directly to the correct brain and to the correct thought within that brain. And so each thought has a local thought URL and a web thought URL.
Somebody had also asked about mass selecting. So if we want to show quickly, maybe you can grab the Joseph Campbell section or whatever, any section in this brain, and just select a group of thoughts.
Sure.
Yeah, you can do a single thought. You can do a full group. Joseph Campbell's pin there.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Up there. And you can go different levels.
So this is all done with the control key on a Windows machine. I can control click on a thought, and it adds that thought into the selection box. If you're on a Mac, you would command click on a thought to add thoughts into your selection box. You can run reports and add thoughts from your report. So all thoughts that contain an attachment that have been modified within a certain date range, you want to get a list of all those. There's so much that you can do with that combination of reports and selecting thoughts in mass. So if I control click on one thought, I add that thought. If I control click on another, as you can see, any thought I control click on, it adds to the selection list. It's a toggle, so I can control click again and remove it from the selection list. I can click and navigate around, and when I see a thought I like, control click. It goes beyond there. I can control click on a gate. I can also click on edits, and select related thoughts. So now I'm going childward, so just below the active thought. we're getting into some more advanced features
Yeah.
here of the brain, but it's good to see these
but yeah, you
capabilities exist.
Copy and paste, and a lot of people like to copy and paste them into even a Word document too.
So just 3 generations down from Joseph Campbell, I've got these 40 different thoughts. I want to include that in this new brain that I'm building that is all about American writers. And so I'm going to right click and copy these 40 thoughts, go over to my new brain, and actually, Mary Shelley's from England, isn't she? Halloween and famous American.
He is just,
there we go. Right click.
Exactly.
And I paste those. So I've got those thoughts on my clipboard. Nice. And I paste them in. And yep, Joseph Campbell. I've got all the content, the file attachments, the web pages, some graphics. Yes.
AI content.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So anything that was associated with any of those thoughts, it's all been selected onto my clipboard, and I can paste it right here into another brain. That's a really great feature too, because so many of us create, these mega brains. It's got all of our information. And to be honest, I started out that way. I had one brain with everything. And then one day someone said, oh, this is some really helpful information. I'd like a copy of this. Well, that brain also had my credit card information, my bank accounts, all my personal info, medical history, everything. So it's really great to be able to copy a section of a brain, paste it into a separate brain that can then be synced or shared. Right. Or become collaborative in a team brain.
Yeah, I have a lot to do that because I have my sister Shelly Hayduck brain, but then I decided I got to copy my marketing section out into sort of like the satellite brain, and I'm just sharing marketing with my team. So you can definitely play with that, and of course you've got the team brain option to then set up different levels of access control and sharing. And speaking of sharing, Jocelyn was asking, how do we access sample brains that you use in your demos?
Yep.
So on the web, we have a section where you can download. All of you actually will be emailed a link to this recording, and we'll also put the links to these brains. But if you go into
under Learn and go down to Applications, there are videos here that we've done on a number of different topics.
For instance.
Yes, job seeking, contingency planning, visualizing innovation. The list goes on and on. So you can watch a full 1-hour video of the brain being used in that environment or for that purpose, and then download a copy of that brain. So you can download a copy or explore it online. Maybe you just want to find that brain for some inspiration. You can just click Explore Online and not actually download a BRZ. If you do download a BRZ, a brain archive, you can open a brain and click on File and select Import. And you can import a BRZ file either into an existing brain or as a new brain. So some radio buttons there. Nice. at the very top for you.
And we're always happy, if you can't find something, we offer live complimentary human support. So through chat or just email support, we're happy to share whatever templates we have.
And I see a great question. Anonymous asked the question, can you summarize from PDFs? You certainly can. The way to do that would be to copy the text of that PDF, paste it into a note, and then use that AI summarize. And you've summarized everything in your PDF into a short, brief description. So, anything that you can get into text, you can use all the AI features that we've shared with you today. It won't go directly from the PDF. But you can, if you can copy that text, get it into a note, you can summarize it very quickly and easily.
Yeah, right. So. And Charles was asking, can you direct AI to other areas of your brain to create the unexpected? So Charles, right now, and this is all evolving, we want the users to be very much in control with what they're doing with AI. So no, the AI is you're only going to utilize AI for something that you've initiated a command for. The AI component does not read or look at other parts of your brain. This is an interesting area. We're always interested in user feedback. So if you do want to grow an area in your brain, you'll actually have to go to that thought and then initiate the AI yourself.
Yeah.
So. And speaking of people on 13, if you don't want to get the beta yet, you can still use AI on the web client. It won't have all of the 14 features, but you can initiate AI thoughts and then sync to your desktop. So it might be a good time to go to Vulkan or web client and just do an AI of thoughts, because we haven't shown that as well.
So here, I just really quickly, there's a button from the desktop that takes you directly out to the thought you're on in the web client. So now I'm logged into the web client, and this is in Shelly's brain. I don't know if I want to add. Let's go to, well, I can undo this at a later date. So from Mary Shelley, I'm going to, I need to log in. I was like, where's my AI button? It's not there because, I was just looking at a read-only mode.
So we have the desktop and the web. Obviously, you have to log into your online account, and then you can start a new brain online or use the online AI features, which are available now to you, or you can obviously get the beta and use the desktop.
So the AI in the web clients, which exists right now, app.thebrain.com. If you sync a brain to the Brain Cloud, you can use AI there. The AI is only existing in the Plex. Notice the AI button when I want to create some new content, like a new child thought or what have you. There's the AI button. Actually, no, I can generate a note. Yeah, maybe I should do a list
of authors or people that Mary Shelley was affiliated.
So I'll generate child thoughts as a list, and I'll use the existing children. So Frankenstein, one of her novels, is there as a child thought. So I'm telling AI, use the child thought as an example to make a list of more child thoughts.
To Charles' point, you can use, parts of your brain, obviously, to
generate absolutely AI. Yeah. So you can say under the context of and point to another thought.
So so you're getting Percy Shelley, the whole Romanticism period, her ties to science fiction.
So
Gothic literature.
So there we go. And once again, we've got these buttons. If you don't like it, you can redo it, you can discard it, or you can accept those changes.
And you can still accept changes and edit and delete, not to make this into an editing 202 class, but obviously if you like half of the stuff, to accept it and then just go ahead and mass select and delete a portion of them too. So it's very easy to sort of fine tune and sort of garden and prune things as well.
Yeah, so that's the AI that exists in the web client, and again, just to try and differentiate what's going on currently with the web and in the Brain 14 beta. And I think I covered everything that we wanted to review today. We had some great questions come up too.
I'm just looking. I think we did cover everything. We are on the hour here. I'll just look and see if there's any last minute questions. For those of you that are new to the Brain Technologies, we've gone pretty far and pretty deep into AI and writing. If you want to just start ground up on how to build like a basic brain of your stuff, do join us tomorrow. Matt's hosting for the Brain 101. It's every Friday at 10 a.m. and that will cover just how to create a thought. Did we create one thought manually in the spring?
I don't think so. Absolutely. So I've got another category.
Your own thoughts.
There we go. It doesn't all need to be AI. So I can create a new thought on my book.
Is this the first webinar we've done with
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
We've truly moved into the future.
There, okay. Created one thought manually.
On 101. Thanks for everyone who joined us today. And just a reminder in terms of really, we've gone a lot into AI and these amazing features, which will really streamline your writing. But that creative context of the overall brain, the gestalt of your thinking, that'll really propel you. That's kind of the key value of the brain. So make sure you create that creative space, and whether you're populating it with your drag and drop, web search, your documents, or AI, we wish you well in sort of creating and evolving all your writing projects.
Great. Thanks everyone for joining us today. As Shelley mentioned, the Brain 101 every Friday. If this was a little bit over your head or you're new to the brain and you want to start with the basics, join us for a Brain 101. And also, as Shelley mentioned, there's a real human available to help you out, answer all your questions. You can always send a note to support@thebrain.com. Or if you go to our website during business hours, the little button in the lower right-hand corner, we're open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday Pacific time. There's a real human. That's not a bot. That's not AI. That's sometimes it's me, sometimes it's Shelly, sometimes any number of our different support. It's never Shelly, but sometimes I jump in there. But our support team is always happy to answer any additional questions that you may have. Feel free to contact us.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.